Welcome to my gathering basket, the fall edition. Oh wow, it is such a beautiful autumn day today here in Southwest Missouri. It is beautiful and sunny. The air is just a little bit chilly, just enough that you can wear a sweater when you run outside or not. It is beautiful. The maple tree right outside the window right there is bright red. It's already lost a bunch of leaves. We have had our first frost, not a very hard one, just a light frost kind of in that you could tell where the low dips in the yard were. All had frost the other morning. So the garden is definitely coming to a halt. We still have a little bit that we were able to harvest, some like green beans, cucumbers, things like that. Tomatoes are pretty much all out of the ground. The garden looks deserted. So it's kind of a fun time of year because we get to wear sweaters, we can stay inside a little bit more, which should translate into some more knitting time. And what knitter doesn't like the chance to start wearing their sweaters again after the long summer? Just being able to curl up in a nice sweater, some knitwear. I was actually trying to pick a new winter coat today, just flipping through some catalogs and talk about knitter problems. So, you know, I've been making a lot of Fair Isle caps and mittens and all the color work. Well, I was trying to pick a new coat, and of course, all of my previous hats I've pretty much based around my old winter coat. So what do? What kind of coat do you pick a different color and then it doesn't go with your color work? Or do you pick a colored coat that goes with the color work you've got? Or do you call this a good excuse to get a different colored coat so that you can make new hats and mittens, gloves and sweaters and cowls, right? So I've got to get a new coat ordered because it is getting cold. I actually turned on the heat the other day for the first time because it was getting down to like 64 in the morning, and I am definitely cold-natured, but enough of that. So it is beautiful, beautiful sweater weather, and I hope you are enjoying whatever weather you have where you live. I pulled out my nice fall short sleeve, kind of that in between. This is the pinstripe tee that I did several years ago out of some yarn that I got from Show Me Yarns. That's also located here in Southwest Missouri. So this is kind of one of those nice transition. It's still short sleeve, but it feels nice and snugly warm. And I'll try to find the link to that pattern if I can. I did this so long ago and printed it off, so I'm not sure where I got it from, but I'll try to link it. It is a very easy sweater, a fast knit, and you can use any two color combinations or more. And it's hard to tell, but the body of the sweater is actually this green variegated and then a row of brown. So it breaks up a nice variegated yarn very well. So I would like to make some more of these in the future. I was going through my stash as we often do and seeing lots of single skeins of things, and kind of this was one sweater that came to mind as I had all those single skeins and kind of putting color combinations together. So you may see more of these maybe next year. But for now, the sweater that I am working on, because it seems like everybody is wanting to cast on sweaters, including me, and I am still in hopes of completing my Make 9 board for this year. And I'm also thinking ahead to what I want on my Make 9 for next year too. But for right now, that brings me to my handspun. I told you last time that I had finished several bobbins of my handspun. This is it's a two-color top of Blue Face Leicester, and this was some that I had purchased, and I think I told you last time that I was debating how I wanted to ply that up. So I did do, basically because I was running out of bobbins, I did do a 2-ply of that variegated top, and there is my skein. I really like how this turned out. I know I'm not going to have enough of that 2-color top left, so I did do a bunch I am working. I have another skein ready to ply. I did not get it done in time to show you, but I have a skein ready to ply that is 1 ply of this variegated and then 1 ply of the solid, kind of this gray brown. And I'm really curious to see what the difference is. My plan, should it work, is to do the body of the sweater out of the 2 different color plies, to go ahead and do the body, because I will have much more of that. So I'll do the body out of that, and then hopefully this skein will be enough that I can do like the neck edging and the button band and the hem. So that's my plan. We'll see how that works out. But I did get a swatch done, and obviously this is a baby swatch. It is still growing. I plan to do some more, and it's obviously still on the needles and not blocked. So we'll see how the blocking changes it. But for right now, this is what it looks like. I really like that two-tone. Gives it that nice rustic kind of tweedy look. It actually right now is almost perfect gauge for the Bly sweater that I'm wanting to do. So I know I need to be responsible. I need to finish my swatch and go ahead and block it. I may make it a little bit longer and actually block it on the needles so that I don't have to cut it. When you're working with hand spun, it just seems a little more precious. So that is going to be the yarn, the swatch for the Bly cardigan, which is by Amy Christophers. I am working it basically at the, like I said, the gauge is coming out amazingly well, which is slightly scary. It's recommended for size 7, US 7 needles, and then 6 for the ribbing. I am doing my typical trick of using the size 7 for the knit rows and a size 6 for the purl rows, and that seems to give me pretty even tension. So a little hard to show a rolled up mini swatch, but that is what I am working on right at the moment. So I want to finish this, get it blocked, and then I am really excited. And a responsible spinner slash knitter finishes all the yarn first and then starts. I'm not always responsible, so I may go ahead and cast on as soon as I get this next skein plied and blocked. We'll see. I have some knitting time coming up. I'm going to be away this next weekend, and some travel time, which is always knitting time. So I'm very tempted to take this project and get it all started and see how far a single skein will get me. Now, I did make a possible mistake. I'm hoping it's not a mistake. When I spun this up, I spun it using a worsted draft. And if you're not familiar with the difference between a worsted and a woolen spun yarn, kind of a quick and dirty, is the worsted is a little bit denser yarn. It tends to be a little bit shinier, really good stitch definition. A woolen spun tends to trap more air. It's fluffier, cushier, and tends to kind of have a flatter look, is kind of the way I think of it. It makes a really nice cozy lightweight sweater. So I went ahead, it was spinning up so pretty in a worsted when I did my sampling that I went ahead and spun it as a worsted, which means that the yarn, the wool that I had, the top that I had, doesn't produce the amount of yardage that it would have if I had done a woolen spun. So it is a little bit, I may be kind of playing yarn chicken with this, and it will make a much heavier jacket. But really that's kind of what I wanted, was a little bit heavier weight, throw on, run, take care of the chickens, something that would be almost like a farm coat. So I think if I have enough yardage to do it, it will be a very nice, warm, snuggly, very basic sweater, kind of a utility sweater, and that's what I needed. So I'm just hoping I have enough yardage. So that's what I've been spinning on. Kind of next in the hand spun dream, I guess. I have been picking cotton. I told some friends I thought October would be about when I would start picking cotton, and it was a little bit earlier. Like I said, we've had a light frost and my cotton plants are still doing okay, but I know time is limited. So I've been out there picking a couple bowls every day, and as they start popping open, I'm bringing them inside and hoping I have enough to do some projects. So here's what I have picked so far, which I think is pretty impressive. So there's a lot more bowls out there if they just have enough time to mature. But that's the amount that I've had. I did plant 3, and if you remember way back when I was talking about getting the seed, my friend Tammy gave me some seed that she had not had a chance to plant, and she gave me 3, actually she gave me I think 5. I planted 3 different kinds, and they're 3 natural colors. So I have the brown, the white, and this was a beautiful red foliage plant, and then when the cotton boll starts to pop, it has this bright white against this dark burgundy leaf. It's beautiful. So, and then the natural green, and this green is amazing. It's not, because I've got this green quilt behind me and I'm wearing green and all of that, it's kind of blowing out just a little bit. I don't know if getting it a little closer to you, but it is a really pretty kind of a leaf green. So I've got brown, white, and green, and I'm getting quite a bit of all of them. The next step is going to be taking the cotton out of the seed, or out of the pod, and I don't know if you can see, all those little bumps there are seeds. So, and that's actually a pretty good picture of the color of that green cotton. So 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, it's got 8 seeds. So I need to, and I don't have a little cotton gin. I know there's some pasta machines you can use, but I will actually have to go through and by hand pick all this out. So, and it is a very short stapled cotton, especially, I think it was actually called lint, cotton lint. I don't know if you can, yeah, maybe you can see. It's a very, very short staple. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge to spin, but I'm looking forward to doing it. The white is a much longer staple. You can see when I take that out and pull it apart, it's a much longer. That's a really nice cotton staple. And I don't have a lot of the white in this big. Some of it just didn't mature quite long enough. So the very first that popped was really nice, and this long fluffy. So, and the brown is kind of somewhere in between. So that's my cotton. I'm just really excited. I got a good crop this year. I think I only had, what, about 18 plants or something like that. So, and like I said, if we had another month, I would have way more cotton than I knew what to do with. Probably already do, actually. Because that's a lot of processing time and spinning time before I ever get a chance to actually work with it. So it'll be enough. I hope that I can do some ornaments, maybe a little bit of lace knitting, crocheting, but hopefully not enough to be overwhelming. So that's my cotton report for this year. And I will show you as I go through the different steps and see what I can make out of it. So that's the cotton. That's kind of the garden report. I also told you last time that I was working on some little colorwork advent mittens, and these have been exactly the knitting project, just a small project here and there, mostly on Sundays. I think I told you my habit is to turn on each week the Lerwick Baptist Church in Shetland, and oh, there's some of my cotton lint. To watch their services on Sunday afternoon and to do some color work while I watch. And I did get the first one, that's the right side. So I got the first one finished. It's not blocked yet because I want to kind of block them all one night. They're tiny. They're definitely not full-size mittens. My hands are pretty small, so they're small little advent mittens. They're just designed, I will make little I-cord hangers for them. And actually, I just saw a quilting advent wall hanging, I guess, that was just a quilted, kind of like that feather tree, you know, the stick tree that just kind of has the little line branches. And then they had some quilted ornaments that they hang on it. And I thought, oh, that would be the perfect thing to display my mittens. So I may try to do something like that maybe next year. I've revised my goal to something more realistic. I am hoping to get at least 4 done this year. What I want to do, instead of the 24 days of Advent, I'm going to do the 4 and do the 4 weeks of Advent this year. Realistically, I don't have the time right now to do all 24, but I can do 4 because I have 1 done and I have 2 done. So there's my Advent mittens. I am halfway to my goal of 4 for this year. And then maybe next year I'll have a little bit more time if I space it out through the year. And really, I thought about doing that this January and just was a little overwhelmed. So I did not put that on my Make 9. Maybe I will put completing it on my Make 9 for next year. But I think these are super cute. And I've just used the Jamieson Smith Jumper Weight, and in the red, gray, and white. I have blue as well, and I may do some blue, and I'm still debating getting some green and throwing that in there. So there's that. And these, again, are just off of a blog. It was a free pattern, and this is actually the 3rd chart for the one I need to start next. And this is the one I'm thinking I may wait and get some green. But it's Kathy Lewinsky, and I will link to her blog. You can download, I just downloaded the first 3, and that as I will go ahead and print them as I get a chance to knit on them. So really, really happy. I just think these are so sweet. So hopefully I can get the next 2 done in the next few weeks, and I will be well on my way to having my Advent mittens. That is probably about it on the knitting. I did do another sock and it did not fit again. So it's better. So I'm getting closer to, and I know it's just because my knitting gauge has changed since I have really, it's been a couple years since I've really done a lot in socks. So I'm just sure that that's probably the reason why I've been struggling. But a stockinette sock does not take all that long, so I don't feel too bad about ripping it back. I really, really need to get back to sock knitting because I've had several socks that have just, well, some of them are like 6, 8 years old, and I wear my socks hard. So they are starting to show some wear. A few have had to be darned, but I would like to fill up my sock drawer again. So that's my knitting hopes. And then quilting has consumed my time lately. I have been very blessed to have a lot of clients. I've actually had some other long arm quilters in the area whose schedules are completely full, and they have been referring to me. So I have had a bunch of new clients and a bunch of new quilts to work on. They have been lovely. Some of them have been very large and just taken a lot of my time. So I am running way behind what I like to have a client's quilt back in 1 to 2 weeks. And I'm running like a month right now. So I have been spending every night working on my long arm quilting machine, and I did go ahead and slip in one of my own. So it's a little hard to show, but this is just a little baby quilt that I did for a coworker who just had a baby a couple weeks ago. And she was doing her nursery in a lot of grays, blacks, whites, kind of distressed wood. And she had a little boy, so she was doing the cactus and skulls, and the only color she had in there was kind of a lime green. So I did this one for her. She likes more of a modern look, so I just did a real quick kind of a modified coin quilt, and then used this really, I don't know if you can see, up here you can kind of see that fun texture with the mountain peaks. So that was a very fast project. And then on the back, this was the fabric that got me in trouble. I saw this when she said she was doing cactus. So I found that fabric at our quilt shop and then kind of built the front around that. So I still have to get it to her. She's not really been out a lot with the baby. I haven't actually seen her since she had the baby. So one of these days I'm just gonna drive by and leave it on her porch, I think. And hopefully it's just a lightweight. I used the thinnest little cotton batting, so it's more like a receiving blanket weight. But I slipped that in when I was waiting for a customer to bring me a quilt, and this is probably a month or so ago, and slipped that out and was able to just quilt it in an afternoon, since it's just a little, you're seeing most of it. It's just a little, I think it measured 38 by 41 or something. So got that all quilted up, and I actually have a couple quilts coming up that needed a pattern like this. And so this gave me a good way to test that out and make sure it worked before I do it on another client's quilt. So I have been testing a lot of things. I have been learning a lot of new techniques, which is always fun and exciting and exhausting and scary. But I am having a lot of fun helping people finish their quilts. So this time last year, my dad and I were in Shetland and attending the Shetland Wool Week for a couple days, and then spent the rest of our trip in Edinburgh exploring that part of Scotland. In some ways, it seems like that has been 10 years ago, and in some ways, I can't believe it's been a year. It was such an amazing time, and I know I have talked way too much on this podcast about it before, but I thought it would be worth mentioning that if you have any interest in Shetland wool, in virile knitting in Scotland, that the Shetland Wool Week, I knew I wouldn't be able to go back again this year, 2 years in a row, but I'm hoping to go back in maybe another 2 years. We were talking about 2021, but just not sure that's going to work out. So my dad and I were discussing last night, maybe 2022 we can go. Probably won't go, the plan right now is we probably won't go for Wool Week, probably go earlier in the summer. I'd like to see more of the farming there, and my dad really wants to see the puffins. So I think we might go more of midsummer, when the puffins are there and nesting, and there's more lambs around, and I don't know how. I'd really, the pictures of the heather in Shetland this year were phenomenal. So we're thinking about changing the time of year, but there will still be plenty of knitting involved, I am certain. But if you are like me and not sure if you'll get back or get there to begin with, I still can't believe I actually went. And you are interested in that area of the world and the knitting, I would recommend going to the Shetland Wool Week website, and I'll put the link to that. I believe it's just shetlandwoolweek.com, although it might be .org, so don't let me do that. This year, because the event was actually canceled, they did a lot of online material. Lots of farm tours, video tours. Most of them are just shot on people's phones, just kind of introducing themselves, some question and answer sessions with people like Hazel Tyndall. So most of them are pretty short. I've watched a few. There was a really fun interview with Chris Dyer of Garthcroft, goodness, in Bressa, which is the island just off the coast of the Lerwick Harbor. So it's like a 5-minute ferry ride between the two islands. So I've watched that one. There is a fun little video tour interview with Rachel, she's a knitter on the island of Fair Isle, and I've watched some of her things. I think, yeah, there's just a lot of little things. A mill tour, I was gonna say farm, but a mill tour of Jamieson of Shetland. Gary Jamieson does that, and he does a great job of showing people around the mill workings and how they take Shetland wool all the way on the island, all the way through spinning the yarn, the dyeing, all of that right there. There was a conversation with Oliver, who's the wool grader at Jamieson Smith, and he kind of took you a little bit behind the scenes like he does at the tour if you were actually there in person. So that was kind of fun. Yeah, just a lot of little bits and pieces. I think there's been some classes offered online. So there's a lot of stuff there for free if you are interested in getting a taste of what Shetland Wool Week would be. So I have enjoyed doing that. I hope you are doing well. I hope you're squeaking in a lot more crafting time than I have been, and enjoying, if you are in our region of the world, that you are enjoying fall coming up. and getting ready for wearing sweaters and enjoying the winter. So I will hopefully touch base again in a couple weeks and show you what I have come up with between now and then. I will talk to you later.